are somebody that has experienced a term nowadays that can either have really positive, amazing connotations or also negative, depending on your audience. You went viral.
Yes, I can safely say that I have experienced virality, and it is a very wild experience. I had graduated from Harvard Business School, and right before, 1 month before I graduated, I had run the London Marathon. I traveled out there. My brother and dad were living there at the time. They were supporting our run. I was with two of my really good friends. I got my period on the start line of the race, and I had never practiced running with a tampon or a pad or any of that stuff because I would just skip out the days of practice when I had my period. Because they tell you get really bad chafing. I think to run day one with a tampon is incredibly uncomfortable. Having to change it out on a marathon course is infeasible. There's no privacy on a marathon course. Having to carry a tampon while you're running is also not really feasible at all. So when I was on the marathon course, I was like, God, if I were to choose to find a tampon or a pad, it would be for other people. For fear that they might see some blood. And in realizing that, how I would prefer to run with nothing and I would prefer to run free, I realized it was actually very much like a feminist choice and a very radical choice to run bleeding freely, because we're supposed to pretend like periods don't exist. We're supposed to make sure that we are constantly, as women, consumable to other people's eyes and to their sort of sexual palate.
Even when we're trying to
keeping them comfortable over
before.
Yourself. Exactly. And so I knew it would be radical to run bleeding freely, but I knew that it was a personal thing. It was about myself. And the other thing that gave me the confidence to do it, quite frankly, I was like, this is a marathon course. You people are not running 26 miles. I am. Talk to me when you all are on the sidelines, when you're trying to shame me. You can do so after you run 26 miles. And quite frankly, running 26 miles bleeding from anywhere is a punk rock move, if you ask me.
I totally agree.
It's are you kidding? It's amazing. So I felt deeply liberated and empowered by that. And actually my period has always been such a nemesis to me. When I'm in school, when I'm, working, I always just get cramps so badly. So I have Midol in my car, in my backpack. You'll find it everywhere in my apartment because I have to take a lot of it to feel better. And so I was scared, actually, to be quite honest, when I was on the start line, because, maybe bleeding is not good when you're running that much. Maybe it's not good for the body. I didn't even have good information. So all of that happened. I ran, I bled freely, the body snapped into this amazing marathoner mode. I thought we would stop running at mile 18 or 20 because they tell you that you're gonna hit a wall. We didn't hit any wall, we just kept running. It was a good marathon time given the situation. And it was just so empowering. But the more that I ran, you have 4.5 hours to think about stuff. The more that I ran, I was like, okay, this is very much a choice. And I know that I'm in a very liberated and protected situation that I can actually do this and not be so worried. But millions of women around the world don't have access to the tampons or the care or the pads that they might need. And moreover, they're completely shamed when they're on their period. They have to either leave their homes, they can't speak to people, they can't see others, they can't eat certain food, they can't break bread with their partners. Really just absurd traditions. And I was like, we do not talk about this. We do not talk about this, and literally in this moment, 1/3 of the world's population is on their period, and it's it's actually, even just thinking about it now in this interview, even almost a year later, it just blows my mind that we are so oppressed that we can't talk about this. So anyway, I'm going on and on, but I wrote this essay. And after graduate school, I was just trying to get a job at Spotify. I was just sweetly in their office working. And my blog story that I posted in April went completely viral. And what that looks like, someone in Australia posted it. And then People magazine posted it. And then the New York Times posted it. And then my email was getting flooded with all these interview requests and questions, and then it was trending on Facebook and then on Twitter, and it was just a 4-day, 5-day long thing where millions of people around the world immediately started engaging in this conversation about menstrual stigma. And it was It was epic. Like,
Was it hard to sleep because you were getting so many?
I didn't sleep for that week. I'll never forget that week because, you know, Nigeria would want to do an interview. BBC would want me to call in and do an interview. That's 5 a.m.
How did you decide to filter? How did you handle that?
Yeah, so in the beginning, I was really scared because I didn't know if I was allowed to speak to reporters. Like, I was also trying to still get this job with Spotify. Like, I didn't know if I was going to be looked down upon. And I actually, you know what I did? My parents were like, maybe we should get you a PR team. I was like, oh God, like, I don't know about all this.
Crisis manager.
Right, crisis manager. Like, I didn't.
Get Olivia Pope up in here.
Seriously, please hook it up. But you know what I actually did? I called Catherine McKinnon, who's a very famous feminist author, and she was my professor for a class that I took at Harvard Law School. And I called her and she took my call, which was really cool, and I told her the situation. And she had just come out of a surgery, so it was very nice of her. And she said, you know, Kiran, you're young, you're not attached to any company, and I think you should talk to anyone and everyone. And it was just so liberated. She was like, this is your mic, this is your moment. You need to say whatever it is you have to say, because that mic's gonna go away quickly. You know?
But I see her point of view, but to me, it wasn't 15 minutes for you. The longevity of what you were doing was not self-seeking. It wasn't a flash.
No.
You have still gone on to speak about it. Even now, you're still doing. You went to the White House.
Yes.
Yes. It's not. There's so many ways people go viral, and a lot of people do use that mic, and then you never hear from them again. But we're hearing from you, and I'm seeing you, and you're out there, and it's continuing.
Yeah.
Which is why I think it's a story that is so worth highlighting.
Thank you.